everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope everyone enjoyed the intro music because that was a recommendation of a uncle of mine named Ted. And he said, use it until someone says you can't. So that's what we're going with. And amidst all the metal shortages and everything else, Ted's helping us out a lot on the backside. So keep that in mind, everyone. All right, so I got Rick Knoll here.
How you doing today, Brandon?
Good. And Mike Hopefuls.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. So I said in previous messaging, I don't know how that went out, I called you guys old.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
But really, it's kind of a joke because our old janitor, Ernest, used to say, don't nothing get old but clothes. And it's relative, and I'm old too. So, we're all old guys.
Don't let the old man in.
Yeah, that's it. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Start with Mike. I met you first.
All right. Well, I started shooting probably 40 years ago.
Where?
I started shooting at a club in Illinois called Maywood Sportsman's Club. I started out with trap. I shot trap for 20 years, and it got boring, more or less. I moved from there. I went to skeet for about 10 years up at Northbrook Sportsman's Club. And then sporting clays really evolved. They got really big here. And I went to a couple of sporting clays events, and I haven't, that's the new game for me.
What made trap boring?
Well, it's the same legal target for 100 years. They
So
have to be the same speed, same angle.
Shooting 25s is boring, time after time.
Yes, well, as you progress, you have to shoot a certain amount of targets a year to gain yardage. So you shoot singles for just, you have to. You shoot handicap, 27 yard and stuff for money, and you shoot doubles for fun.
So when Lino talks about games, what's games?
Games is 27 yard,
Okay.
and let's say you get a row of 15 shooters. Everybody throws money in a pot. It's 15 to get in. It's usually $2 to $3 to get shot out. So let's just say I start off, then Brandon, then Rick. I hit, Brandon hits, Rick hits, the next guy misses. We get it shot out. The $2 or $3 go to a kitty.
Okay.
It goes until everybody's eliminated, till there's 2 shooters left. They could either split the pot, or they could have a shoot off for the pot.
And that's how Lino was making money with those shells we were,
Yes,
the special ones.
yes.
Okay. So what's your background, though? You're by trade, you're retired
Heavy equipment operator, yes, local 150.
And that was in city of Chicago?
Yes, in
Predominantly.
Illinois, yes.
Well, did you go outside of, what was it, Cook and DuPage, or what counties?
Yes.
You'd
Well-
go outside of that?
Well, during my apprenticeship, I went everywhere, yes. I had to work. I had to make hours to become a journeyman. I started off probably my first 4 years on tower cranes downtown. I built the Morton Fire Call building, the Bloomingdale building, the AT&T building. I was on tower cranes. And believe me, I got tired of working.
What years were those where you're putting those buildings up? Mike, it's fine. We're all friends
No,
here.
I'm just, you don't need rough idea, 80s.
Oh, not that long ago.
No,
No, see?
late 70s, 80s.
Yeah, not that long ago.
But it was fun. It was great.
All right, Rick, your story.
My story.
He laid it out pretty good. Can you beat
well,
his?
I think so.
You think?
I'm a general contractor by trade. I'm third generation.
Okay.
My son was fourth. My
Northwest Indiana?
Northwest, well, LaPorte County.
Okay.
I didn't like to drive farther than about 20 minutes.
Ever.
Never.
Mike never had to drive less than 20 minutes,
I know
probably,
that.
right?
No, I had to drive.
Yeah, but even going 6 miles would be more than 20 minutes in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to college for a year. Hurt my knee skiing. Had to have surgery, and my father thought my recovery wasn't going fast enough. So he said, you can either go to work for me or move out. And
I like that. That's not unlike a lot of people's stories.
that was the rest is history. I mean, that's what I I'm still here.
So you were trying to do the ski bum thing.
I
huh?
was trying to be the ski bum
They
thing.
had ski bums back in like
Yes.
in the 80s.
Yeah,
huh?
they did. 70s.
Yeah, I was trying to handicap you. a
I'm
little bit here.
70s.
All right,
Yeah, no, we're in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, early 70s.
All right.
Yeah.
So when are you still working or do you hang it up?
I'm doing a little bit.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
And you've got a hell of a wood shop, I hear.
I got a nice shop. I
Yeah?
enjoy it.
How big is it?
You know, I don't know. Somebody asked me that the other day. It's just not quite big enough.
Well, that's what everyone says.
You know, I don't know. It's 30-some feet by probably 40 feet.
Okay.
And plus a back shop.
So it's kind of. I asked Mike when he was laid up here with the shoulder that why we had to postpone this a week. I asked if you're like the Norm Abrams, like the new Yankee guy, that you've got one of everything for the tools, whether you're building cabinets or beds or chairs or anything.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff.
Did you ever watch New Yankee?
No.
You never watched like This
No.
Old House with Bob Vila?
No, I really never did. You know, I saw minutes of it, but I never sat down to watch it.
Man, back in the 80s, it was like Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock or something like that, or 4 o'clock. There'd always, Mason, you're nodding your head.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
Saturdays were big TV days in the wintertime at my house because we would do Bob Vila, This Old House, and then Norm was kind of like the Al Borland, right? Like Bob Vila was kind of the guy that like talked, but Norm was the guy that got stuff done.
Yeah.
And then he got his own show. You're not familiar with that?
I'm familiar with the show, but I just never watched it. You know, I was
No?
at the age I was working.
Who was his big endorser? Was it Sears?
Yes, Craftsman.
Craftsman?
Sears
Yeah.
and Craftsman.
Yeah.
Did you watch that show?
Yes.
My grandpa turned into like a Norm Abram. That he inspired him to be this master woodworker. Is like quite fascinating. Yeah. Okay, so what got you into shooting then? Just
I was always hunting as a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, my father would take me out, and I mean,
what was your main thing that you chase?
you know, we had ducks back then, and pheasant and quail.
Quail?
We had quail. Oh, I got great quail stories. Yeah, we used to have a lot of good quail
In LaPorte.
in LaPorte.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Where would you find them at?
Could be right in the middle of the woods on the edge. You always had to have water, and you had to have food.
Yeah.
But I can remember walking up as a kid with my dad, and I mean I was probably 15, 16, and here's a covey of quail, all covied up in the middle of the woods, and I mean it was.
Would
cold.
you swat them on the ground?
No, we just left them be and walked right around them.
Oh, okay.
Let them go. It was about maybe 15, 18 birds. So
Did you ever hunt them?
Yeah, we did.
Were you too good of a? What would you say? Were you too respectful to ground swat 'em?
Yes. Yeah, they were all covied up, trying to stay warm, and we weren't going to bust them.
Oh, I went to Georgia and we had $100 bet on who could shoot more quail. It was like at a planted farm kind of thing. We were out in the woods, and there was my son and I were on opposite teams, and I think so. I had to put his $100 in. I had my $100 in. So either way, I was gonna
Break even?
Yeah. So, but I was looking at it at a different perspective. Like I didn't want to lose. So there are these quail. There's like 3 or 4 of them, like maybe here to Kalen away, and I shot them, and one of these guys next to me is like, hey, that's not really sport. You want to at least wait till they get up and give them a chance to get away. I'm like, for $100, those things are getting shot. So anyway, I'd still do it if given the chance. If I have to. If there's money on it, I'm shooting them on the ground.
Quail's fun.
Yeah.
Quail's
They're fast. So at first, I struggled with them, but we've been back to that same place where I do the R&D for a lot of my ammunition, and now shooting those things, they're getting out like 40, 50-yard shots are awesome. And it's just, you kind of let them go a little bit longer just to pull that shot off.
Well, shooting them in the pine trees is tough when they're in those southern pines.
Yeah.
Those pine plantations.
Yep. That's where we were.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
a hoot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an
There's
awesome time.
stories from that place. So
Yeah. So,
Well, I got to make a confession.
okay.
I never killed an animal.
No?
No.
not even with your car.
No. Not that I know of. I never shot an animal.
That's all right.
Right.
It's okay.
I
It
mean,
doesn't have
it's-
to be your thing.
Right. But
No.
I shoot clay targets, but that's about
You shoot
it.
the shit out of those things.
I do my best.
Okay. So let's kind of transition to why we brought you. We want to talk about this target load that we're developing. And I know that each of you guys have a different perspective on what you like the best. You're a lower payload, higher velocity guy, and you're like a standard payload 1,200 foot per second guy. Is that right?
1250 is what I like.
1250.
Yeah, I shoot 1250 1 ounce.
1 ounce 1250s.
That's what I shoot.
And you're like a 7/8 1350 or something, right? 1330.
I'm like a 2 3/4 dram, 1 ounce.
So what's that?
Anyway, from 1250 to 1300.
So you're okay. Did you used to shoot faster?
I did when I was shooting trap.
Okay.
When I moved back in yardage, you get to the 27. It was, double A's or STSs. It was like ounce and an eighth, 7.5s,
And those are moving 1200, 1220, right?
Those were probably 1250 maybe.
Were they? Because with lead shot, the faster you move it, the more it opens up. So you want to have that denser pattern when you're shooting longer distances.
Yeah, it was full. It was full all the time.
Full choke.
Yes.
Okay. So when would this have been that we started the idea to do a target load? That'd have been was it the end of last summer?
It was. It was probably the end of last summer.
And I called. How did that start? Help me refresh my memory. I called you.
You told Tyler to call me. I came over and looked
Which
at
one
it.
here?
Brought them both.
Grabbed a
Okay.
couple of cases for a review or what Rick and I thought of them.
Okay. And this was at this. It looks like we had a number, a 7.
Yeah, 7s was your big one. And the 6s were leftovers, and nobody'd take them, and so I shot them.
Okay, that's right. So we did 6s and 7s. Now we
6s
tested
and
7s and 8s.
And these were the first 7s we got were at 1215 feet per
Yep.
second, and then Tyler made us up a batch of 1250s.
And what did you end up liking more?
I like the 1215s.
Okay.
And
I like the faster shell. I get used to a faster shell. You don't need to constantly work at changing your lead.
Okay.
I want something that's pretty much what I'm used to.
But
you know.
right, so you'd have to give a little more lead.
Yes.
on
You were
targets.
spot on.
I was fine.
So you're shooting 1200 or 1250 lead, this 1215 steel.
Mm-hmm.
You told me in a previous conversation, I asked you not to give me too much detail,
Asked me to be quiet.
but you were because I wanted to save it for this. You were shooting relatively long distances, and your offset didn't have to change much from
It
lead.
wasn't changed. It wasn't changing. And I shot a lot, and I shot a lead on one barrel and steel in the other barrel.
How
and
were you choked?
I was choked light mod, and a lot of times mod.
What gun?
DT11.
So you're shooting this stuff through a
Beretta.
DT11.
Shooting this through my DT11.
No worries.
None whatsoever.
Mike, what were you shooting?
A Browning 425.
You wouldn't put it in your Parazzis, huh?
That's the theory we need to talk about. But I probably would, but I don't know. Because
Mhm.
I read so much for the last week about proof testing and this and that, and the shots staying in the wad,
Yep.
leaving the barrel and everything, and I don't
Yeah,
think
there's no
there's a
scrub.
problem
There's
with
no
it.
scrub. Tell you what, if you shoot them and you end up screwing up a set of barrels, I'll buy you a new set of barrels.
No, I'm not worried about that. But my Perazzi barrels are fixed barrels,
And they're fixed what? What's the choke
light,
on them?
well, 1525, light mod,
That's
improved
plenty
mod.
loose.
No kidding.
So what you get with steel shot, obviously you have lower density than you do with lead, but you've got more pellets. So just like killing a real bird, you got two things you need. You need pellet energy, you need pattern density. And we ended up testing down in Georgia, my last trip a couple weeks ago, we ended up testing number 7 shot and number 8 shot. And I was able to kill pheasants at long distances with 8s. Like, I helicoptered one. I mean, it was probably a lucky pellet in the brain, but that thing was like 60 yards out. I wouldn't say let's go out and go duck hunting or
That's good.
with number 7s and number 8s. But if, I just swept through, gave them about 8 feet and, dumped them. Small birds like quail, no problem. But again, that was at a higher velocity and the pattern would open up even more. We were shooting 5-stand, and my son he's probably as good, maybe better than me at shooting targets. And he was smoking everything. And I tell him, even though he's 14, he's like I respect his opinion a lot when it comes to like what shells, this, that, because he says, like he'll tell me if stuff doesn't work. Like any chance that your kid can use to rip on you, you know, teenagers are going to. And I asked him, I'm like, Landon, which one do you like? He said, Dad, doesn't matter. They all work. So we were shooting rabbits, and I didn't realize how thick a rabbit target was. But shooting rabbits that are getting thrown out 30, 35 yards going across on the 5-stand, they're getting smoked with number 7s and number 8s. So you didn't notice, neither one of you guys noticed a difference. And I got to admit, Mike, I didn't talk to you nearly as much as Rick because I tried to get Rick to shut up about it, but he just kept going. So some of this is review.
I sent him texts.
So before we go to what I sort of already know, give me your rundown with shooting the steel.
What do you mean by that?
Well, compare it to lead. So you've been shooting a lot of cleavers, and what was your other go-to that you've been shooting?
Double A's.
Double A's and cleavers.
Yes.
Okay. 7, 8, 1 ounce, ounce and an eighth. What are those again?
All 1 ounce.
1 ounce. Okay. So 1 ounce of lead, 7.5s.
Yes.
Okay. Compared to 1 ounce of steel. Talk about recoil, my stuff versus that.
Well, I can't tell any difference. I mean, my guns are made for me. I mean, I've had them all fitted, and that absorbs most of the recoil. I was really surprised shooting steel.
You didn't think it was going to work. Were you a little? I'm not gonna say you didn't think it was going to work. Were you on the fence, a little apprehensive?
Well,
what were your thoughts going
into it?
into
The big thing was, what I read about steel is the tightest you could go was mod. So that right there, I was a little bit of a mind game for my lead. You know, if anything far, I needed more lead.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I kind of like the 1250 shooting mod. Maybe I had to add another foot or two,
Okay.
but
You're still breaking targets.
oh, definitely.
And that was on what course were you guys? You
We
guys
were at Deer Creek.
were you shooting? You were shooting
No.
sporting clays.
Yes.
So how far are those shots?
Well, Deer Creek was 60, 100 feet.
The longest,
That's
those
30
longest targets were probably 65 yards. Those real goofy.
120, 190 feet.
Remember that
Yes.
one? That one particular target.
And you're breaking those with confidence.
No, those are tough birds.
Okay.
That was a 65-yard stupid shot.
Station 12.
Yeah,
On the
something
white?
like that. On
So
that.
normally on Station 12, the white course, what is your hit percentage on that long bird?
20.
Normally,
Probably 20%. I don't think it changed.
it didn't change.
No, it didn't change. It's just a real tough bird.
You just got to figure your lead and work with it. But
Well, there's so much hole in your pattern at 60 yards anyway, right? So I
Yes.
mean, you could have your shot, you could have your lead right, and the bird just slips through the hole.
You better believe it.
Okay.
It falls. It's falling apart. at
Yeah.
that.
So when even like with lead 8s, it still is like a 20%er
Oh yeah.
because the smaller pellet, the lighter pellet's going to end up drifting a little bit more. Yeah, it's just ballistics, right?
Yeah, it's ballistic.
So you're
It
asking,
just
so
doesn't-
anything like 40 yards and in, no problem.
45 yards and in,
45, easy.
no problem whatsoever.
yes,
You agree?
yes. I like 8s. If I'm shooting steel, I like 8s.
So we did a survey, and the way this is going to go when we put into production, about 75% of the people want 7s and 25% want 8s.
All right,
So you're one of,
the odd ones.
yeah.
But we were also talking about target loads. And I don't know if you read what I sent you from the ATA,
With the steel and all that?
the requirements for steel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's legal, it's okay, but at 16 yard, I think 8s would be great for probably back to 24 yard,
Okay.
Mhm. Depending on your choke also, mod
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
A lot of it depends on the shooter, besides the shell and the gun and stuff. But yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. And actually, we shot them at Costco.
Yes, we did.
And
Yeah,
they,
what?
Costco.
in Warsaw, Indiana.
Oh, I thought you were talking like the store that I've never been into.
No.
I've been in the parking lot a bunch of times, but I've never been into a Costco before.
All right,
This
well,
one's
there's
a
a club
KO.
in Warsaw, Indiana called Costco.
Okay.
It is
It's a nice club.
really nice, and they have a really nice course. So we've shot them out there. I didn't have any problems with them at all. I mean, I didn't think about them except I'm looking at high brass.
Well, that's just
That's
because
about
what
it.
we had.
Right.
So it works out for everyone watching. I think if you haven't picked up on it by now, Mike is a little bit more of a pessimist and Rick is a little bit more of an optimist, which just kind of the way things roll. And that's why it's like the yin and yang that balance everything out, which is why, honestly, I wanted your guys' opinion. And you're from Chicago, so you're not going to bullshit me. And if something's ugly, you're going to say it's ugly. It's just the way it is.
I think that's me, yes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I respect and
Right.
love about you. It's awesome. It's great. So that's how we do things. When we come up with an idea, we're going to get stuff out in the field and we're going to run with it and put it through its paces. And between these two guys, your guys' opinion is enough that made us feel confident about releasing this product. And, economics and everything else, we're going to be able to build it economically. As far as the lead thing, like people get all lead's not bad, lead's not bad, and it may or may not be. But I know this, as a business owner that ultimately assumes a liability for stuff I have in a building, if my employees get sick, I wear that, regardless of whether they want to sue me or not. Like my conscience won't tolerate me knowingly putting something that has proven in the past to be toxic in a factory environment, which is why I'm very, very, very cautious about loading lead ammunition. If I can avoid it, I'm going to avoid it. So that's just one part of it. The other thing too is, even if there's a 30% chance or 51% chance or 40, any chance that we could be leaving a negative impact on the environment by depositing lead out, whether it's on public or private ground, maybe it's not a bad idea to think a little bit more environmentally conscious. And if I can make it economically and compete with lead, and I can give the performance like you guys are telling me, you can't tell the difference. And honestly,
Yes.
It's a softer shell. The recoil is 15% less than on lead.
you can feel it.
Oh, unbelievable! You can stand there and watch a guy shoot, and his shoulder's not moving. It's a lot quieter shell too. I can tell you every time I'm shooting your round versus a lead round, and I'm just throwing them in my gun and not looking, and I pull the triggers, man, I know exactly which one's yours. It's softer, it's quieter, I'm not moving, there's no muzzle rise.
I can't say that it doesn't surprise me, but it wasn't like engineered that way. And I think a lot of that has to do with the powder that we have available. But everyone can get that powder, or at least they used to be able to get it. And I think the big guys can still get it. I just can't. But I think that wad, and again, what we did was we just used the War Chief wad that we developed a year and a half ago. It's about 2 years now when we started engineering it. And we just changed the core to make it work with steel shot. And it works. I mean, the pattern uniform, you shoot the patterns, they're beautiful. You saw it. I think you
Yes.
shot steel patterns with us. Or did you pattern on your own?
No, I was invited, and Rick, to Ultra Seal when Jimmy Muller was there.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I was looking at the results on the cardboard. And
That was when we were doing stuff for...
I was there for 12 gauge, not 20.
Right. That was when we were developing everything for the steel and bismuth and War Chief and all that stuff.
Right, for the
tubes.
chokes to match the load.
Yes. But I don't think we shot the target
No, we saw the targets
that we had already shot.
Yes, after
Okay.
Tyler had shot.
Mhm. Oh, it's beautiful
Yeah,
stuff.
it was-
and
it was
it
nice stuff.
chokes just like your target, like your target AA type lead load. I mean, there's actually more pellets there because it lacks the density. So I really think that we might be onto something here, and we're going to be able to manufacture this stuff as economically as possible, and it's going to be competitive with a lot of other more premium rounds. I guarantee it's going to be cheaper than like your high-end stuff that you're used to shooting, which is kind of cool.
Well, what you said just a little while ago about the environment, I've been to a lot of like kind of private clubs where you have to shoot steel.
They're starting
It's
to do that.
mandatory to shoot steel. I've had guys come up to me and stick magnets on my boxes. Stick a magnet in my pouch.
So what steel target load would you shoot before this stuff?
Winchester? I think
Okay.
it was? Yes.
Okay.
Those were like 1325 7s or something.
Okay.
Right.
Well, those thump a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's similar like the dove load that we're going to make. There's significantly more recoil there because we notice in shooting ballistic gel, excuse me, that you do want that extra velocity does make a little bit of a difference, even though theoretically the faster, not theoretically, I mean, it's physics. The faster you accelerate something, the faster it slows down. But there is enough at 30 and 40 yards that having that extra 150 feet per second initial does help. And our pattern stays controlled, so you can still reliably kill. And that's why we went down to Georgia to test the 1350 version of these loads on quail, because I figure quail is similar to a dove, and Michigans have dove season. I want to roll a product out in time for this upcoming dove season, predominantly down in Texas. So that was the test bed.
So you think 25,000 improved mod is doable for steel?
I was shooting the War Chief choke, which is probably only about 10 to 15 thousandths constriction.
That'd be IC
No.
or
I'm sorry. That'd be like 30 thousandths constriction. So that was almost like an improved mod to full.
Extra full, yeah, or something like
Yeah,
that.
but I was fine with that. The choke still screws out of my gun, no problem.
Okay.
And the patterns are still good. I mean, it's tight, but that's kind of, I think, part of the reason why my son can shoot as well as he did, because I brought him up shooting a full choke out of a 12 gauge, regardless of whatever it was. Like, he started off on stingers when he was 10 years old. So that little shit can shoot. And that's where I was talking about maybe getting him a trap gun. And I really do want you to start shooting steel out of your Perazzi and tell me if I ruin the barrels, because it's cheaper to buy you a set of barrels than it is to buy a gun for my son.
Well, we've got a deal here.
Okay.
If you call Andy and buy that combo, we're good.
That's a $20,000 shotgun. And I asked Rick if my son can shoot high school trap with his M1 just as well, and he said yes.
Absolutely.
And I would worry about him getting a gun, and all of a sudden he shoots worse than he does with a gun that he's already got.
Okay.
And I think that. Go ahead.
This
Go
is
ahead.
the thing.
Okay.
Trap has got so many rules. All these pro games where money's involved, where you have to pay to register and keep track of your targets so you can bump up classes.
Okay.
They frown against people shooting autos because of the ejection.
Yes.
You know, guy, oh, I want to shoot next to that guy. He's got an auto. You know, it just.
Sounds like somebody else's problem.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to put a shell catcher on or a rubber band,
Okay.
but it's just, it's just what it is. I mean, I think it's fine.
Well, in the league that he might be joining, they let you shoot whatever you want.
He's
It's
15.
Michigan. It's 14. It's Michigan high school trap.
Yeah.
That
and even-
Berrien?
It's through Michigan Lutheran, and they let anybody on the team because he's a homeschool kid. He can't, and I don't even think public schools have. Well, of course, public schools around here aren't going to have a shooting team, right?
I went to high school and shot.
Well, that was also a different. That was a few years ago.
That
before
was in
things.
'67.
Did they have DEI and woke back then?
No.
No,
No.
we had 22 Anschutz.
Yeah, you probably kept a rifle in the back of your truck or whatever. That's the way my dad went to school. They'd put their rifle and shotgun in the window of their pickup truck and have it in the parking lot at the school. No one said anything. So that's, times change.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's the way Michigan does it. They have the team, they get together, they practice, they go out, and they'll shoot against other schools, but they'll go to, I believe it's Barron County Sportsman's.
Yes.
And they'll shoot on like a Saturday morning, and everyone else is shooting or they shoot throughout the week, and you post your score. So even though like it might be windy or it might be cold, this or that, they don't care. You go out and you shoot your score, and then you're competing against all the other schools on that same league, and then you eventually go to like a state tournament or
Yeah, I
something
think
like
it
that.
starts in March,
That's right.
and the big shoot-off is at Mason, Michigan.
Yeah,
It's the SCCTP, something like that.
yeah.
Yes. I
And
know
that's
all
just
about-
that's just 16-yard trap.
Well, from what I know of it and what I've seen at Berrien, what you shoot at 16 is what you're going to shoot for a handicap. Say you break 20,
Yep.
you're on the 20-yard.
What's that mean?
If you break
My experience with shooting targets is like I have an Atlas thrower. We stand behind it. We shoot them in my backyard.
so let's say we're a team, a high school team. I shoot a 20, you shoot a 20, you shoot a 22. Well, when we go out, so it's one group of 16-yard, your next group, you shoot handicap. So if I shot a 20, on 16, I'm at 20 yard.
Okay.
So that's where we would be on our next round out.
And he's at 22, so
Yes.
he's at 22. So they move you back and back and back.
Well, that's all you do is shoot a 16 and a handicap. You shoot 50 every time you get together.
So what's the furthest that you would shoot 16-yard trap from?
16-yard trap?
The furthest, yeah.
Well, it would be 27 yard.
How'd you just add 9 to it?
No. I mean,
Or 11, sorry.
if you shoot a 25 at 16 yard, you go
Yes.
to the 25 yard.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
There's no 27 and 25 bird
Okay.
tar.
You just move back.
Right.
But you all move back at one time. You're
Well,
not,
everybody else depends on how big the facility is. If they run a couple squads out, then the next squads out would be handicap. Then it'd be 20, 20, 22. We would be on the field.
okay. I just
Did you ever do a lot of trap and skeet yourself, or
I did. Yes, I mean I shot in the trap league as a young guy, and down in Mill Creek, or Stillwell, it's still there.
okay?
Did that for a while, and shot some skeet over in South Bend, Lake of the Woods, I think I want to say, and I don't know if that's correct, but they got a small course there. So a bunch of guys used to go over there and shoot. I started shooting my daughter there. Started her there very young, at about 10 years old.
Does she still?
No, she's 40 and not shooting so much. Still got a nice gun, so.
Oh, I'd imagine. Yeah. So I guess safe to say, like, anybody who's going to watch us can't say that I'm full of shit. I'm just making a product just to
No.
pump something out there. I'm like, you guys know your stuff, and you're not going to lie. You're not going to bullshit and tell me something's
I shot a lot
blow
of
sun.
those.
No one's going to blow sunshine up my ass. I don't expect.
I shot a lot of those shells, and they were great. Absolutely great. Those sixes shooting that 45-yard rabbit just crunches it.
Did you get any with the 7s? 45-yard rabbit. That's at Sporting Clays.
That's a Sporting Clays, yeah. It's a 45-yard rabbit, and it's a gravity rabbit, and it's a pain in the butt.
What's a gravity rabbit?
Oh, the one that came down the pole
It
or
just-
the wood?
It just drops.
Is that the one that goes from the left to the right?
It goes from right to left.
Oh, because I haven't been out there enough to know it, but I've
goes
shot
from-
rabbits before, but it was a left to right.
It's just let out of machine, and gravity takes it down a ramp, and it is slow, and you got to shoot the front feet out.
The front feet.
You got to shoot the front foot of the rabbit.
Oh. So you guys, with all your terminology, it's just a clay target, but you're...
It's just a clay target,
Just hit it.
but that's what you got to aim for. So, yeah, if it was a rabbit, you'd shoot front feet.
So, Mike, you feeling better with the shoulder? You still look like you're a little bit...
I got the stiff neck. The shoulder's good. It's just I got a knot that I got to work out.
You were in the street? Help me understand. You were in the... You ate shit in the street
My neighbor's
with a snowblower.
My neighbor's going for radiation for his back.
Okay.
So I took my snowblower and went did his driveway so he could go for his radiation. As I was walking across the street to do my driveway,
You did his first.
Yeah. We had to go for treatment.
Yeah.
So I hit the ground, I tucked up, or balled up, and I don't even think I bounced. I hit it like a bag of shot. And I just laid there looking down the street, and he came over and helped me get up and stuff, and I was a wreck.
And then that was on a Thursday, and you couldn't go to the doctor for a whole week.
The only appointment I get in was Thursday.
What did he put you on when he saw you?
Nothing. He gave me, he saw that
Did he do X-ray, MRI, or
yeah,
what they
he
do?
did an X-ray. Nothing was broke. We did that rotator cuff test where you push against resistance and stuff.
Mhm.
But my humerus was pushed into my shoulder joint. It's like that shouldn't be there. Like it pushed the
Mhm.
gap in. So he gave me a cortisone shot, and
Well, at least it's on your non-shooting shoulder, so you'll be good for springtime.
as soon as I get rid of the snot, I'll be.
Are you
Right.
guys shooting now or no?
No, I shot a couple weeks ago.
What's the minimum temperature to go out and shoot?
50.
He's a little more tropical than me.
What about you?
If it's 30, I like sunshine,
Okay.
but
Sunshine adds like 20 degrees in
yeah,
Michigan
it
in the
really
wintertime.
does. I
Yeah.
love the sunshine.
So 30 plus 20 on a sunny day, you're out. You're going to go.
Yeah, I would probably go. It's just I mean, it's just been a long winter. It just never ends. So
This is like a winter that we had back when I was a kid. We actually have had snow that's been on the ground and been around here for multiple weeks.
yeah,
And February is always the coldest month for us, at least in my recollection.
Always.
End of January through middle of
We
February.
usually get that January thaw, and we really didn't get that this year.
Yep. Yep. So I think I said in the past, you guys shoot like 3 to 4 times a week. Is that a fair assessment? You're more than that, probably, Mike.
3 for sure. I
Okay.
mean, with the price of shells and the price of targets are really going up. White flyer targets are, the clubs are adding money to the targets because they got to pay for themselves to stay open. Excuse me.
Mhm.
So it's
What-
getting a little pricey.
What is it a target now? Used to be like 25.
42
42 cents a target?
Or more.
or more?
Don't miss.
Non-members are going to be 60 something.
If you're a member, roughly 42 cents. If you're a non-member, 66.
Mm-hmm.
We're going by average around here. I mean, it varies. When I first moved out here, I was paying $3 a round for trap, and now it's $7
For
So,
25.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and then a regular decent box of shells is $10, $11.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now, weren't you reloading for a while?
I never reloaded.
You never did.
No.
Lino does.
Oh yeah.
Lino. Yeah. How's he doing?
I don't know if he's been working or not, but he goes out and shoots all the time.
You know Lino?
Met him once, I think.
Only one time.
Yeah. I only once. And
He's
that was short.
memorable.
How come why haven't you ever, he doesn't come shoot with you over here then?
No. Well, no, because when I go up into Chicago or Northbrook, I usually try to spend a night at a hotel by Northbrook,
Mhm.
and then I'll shoot with Bruce, who's an instructor, sporting clays instructor, and we shoot at Northbrook, which is probably a fantastic club. So I'll shoot with him, not for a lesson, but he helps me out if I have something that I can't really hit. And I stay at a hotel, go to dinner, and drive home the next day.
And you meet up with Lino.
If he's not working right, because we shoot during the week.
Isn't Lino getting old enough to retire?
No.
He's still got a few years left.
Yes. I had 33 years and I was 50. I had 33 years in the union and I was 54 years old. And I retired like 18 years ago.
Did you work with Lino at all
No.
in the union?
No.
Is he in your same?
He's in the same union, yes.
So he came on after you'd already retired?
yeah, I didn't meet Lino right away. I met him at Maywood Sportsman's Club.
Mm. And later found out that he did the same. Same
Later,
thing you
we
did.
became buddies, same union. The union was putting a team together to go shoot Union Sportsman Alliance and
Mhm.
shoot for a cure. So Marshall Douglas reached out to Lino, reached out for me, and we started shooting. Rick shot with us last year. We were short
Over
a
there.
member.
Okay. How'd
We
you
were-
guys do?
We won.
Yeah. Yeah?
We did.
Yeah, I was high overall.
Yeah.
We shot at back 40.
What's that?
It's a club out in Indiana.
Oh, it's okay. I thought it was like a.
Bourbon,
Okay.
Indiana.
Bourbon,
Oh, down
yes.
30.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
you get a meal, you get all kinds of,
And you guys won.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? You think you could win with our stuff?
Yeah. I could have shot ducks with your stuff in Canada, and I wouldn't. Every bird that I shot in Canada last year with Boss,
Yeah.
I could have shot with that steel.
Well, the topic for a different discussion, but this whole metal thing is jacked up. Like, I'm only getting half of what I thought I was going to be guaranteed to get, and that doesn't put us through the end of summer. So we're scrambling. Not scrambling. We know what needs to get done. There's a lot of work to do, and we've got to develop new products. We've already got most of the work done on one of them. Another one requires some equipment, but nothing's easy. Life comes with challenges.
Well, there's Seal Shot will help you out, right?
Yeah,
If you get the market out and
we've got a steel product, but what we're gonna end up doing something different, something that's we're just going to adapt. And when the world beats you down, you can either stay down on the ground or you can get up and fight. And I'm not giving up. I can't give up, and I'm not going to. And I'm going to have as much fun as I can with it. And this last weekend I spent probably maybe 20 hours working, thinking, investigating. And my wife can tell, like, I used to do this a lot when I was a little kid, or not little kid, like when I first got married and I was working on my first patent. I would take these deep dives where, like, I would have blinders on and you couldn't even talk to me. I'd be so focused on what I'm doing. And at that time, it was a lot of fun because it was all, like, prospective growth opportunities. But now it's, like, it's different because I've got a lot of...
Competitive?
No, I got a lot of people. I got a lot of debt. I've got a lot of responsibilities, and I've got to keep this... And I've got a pile of loyal customers that I need to make sure I keep them in my brand, and they've supported me, and I want to support them, and I'm not going to put out a bullshit product that can't fulfill what I say it's going to do. So you start going down the path of, like, I got to do this and this and this and this and that, and here's how we're going to make this work and that work, and I'm texting people and messaging people and setting meetings up on Saturdays and Sundays. I talked to my metal supplier for 35 minutes yesterday on a Sunday about this whole thing, right? And I've been up bothering the shit out of Uncle Ted. You know who Uncle Ted is?
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He's been shooting our stuff for a couple years now. He's lived an amazing life and just a cool, down-to-earth guy. The first time he called me, I had this, and I got introduced to him through a gentleman named Steve Ferris, who's a big-time duck hunter over in the Central Flyway, and he was the lead guitar player for the 80s band called Mr. Mister. I don't expect you guys, you know Mr. Mister? So he introduced me to a lot of people, Ted being one of them. And one day I got this phone call from a blocked number. It said, like, no caller ID, and I knew it wasn't a prank phone call or like someone trying to scam or sell me something I didn't want. So I answered it, and out come the long, colorful, adjective-laced sentences and just talking about Michigan manufacturing and Spirit of the Wild, that kind of thing. And I'm like, this guy's awesome. So
You knew who he was.
oh. Yeah, how can you not? Now you know who I'm
I
talking
know exactly
about?
who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, he's a great, great, great guy. And he knows a lot of people that, hopefully, I don't expect the world to turn on its ear and help, our little business. There's bigger fish to fry in, world economics and global policy and whatnot. But it's kind of a weird time. And I kind of saw this. I always knew in the back of my mind, like, building a business on one product that's sourced from predominantly one country is more than likely not sustainable in the long run. And every day you're kind of hedging your bet. That's why we developed other products. And we're going to keep developing other products to stay viable, stay relevant, and stay ahead of everything else.
Well, you've been in business 9 years?
Well, I think this is going to be 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. This will be our 8th season selling products. So, but sometimes it feels like 100 years, like over the weekend, and sometimes it feels like yesterday. So I'm going to try to hold on to what it felt like yesterday and just keep running forward. That's what we're going to do.
Just gonna have fun.
Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah. Yeah, Jimmy Buffett said, I've said it before, when life gives you limes, you make margaritas, and that's what we're going to do. So, any closing thoughts? You got some paperwork here. What do you want to talk about?
No, this was just stuff that it was choke constrictions for steel and ATA instructions. I mean, about, but
So what's
we
your
covered
hang
it.
up? You were talking ATA with steel shot. You said that it's okay. What's the deal with that?
Well, what size steel is
7.
legal? for-
7's legal. 7 and 8, nothing bigger than 7.5 if you're shooting lead. Right? I
Yes.
believe that's what I read.
Yes.
Horse apiece. It's no big deal. 7's good. And as far as chokes, it's not like we're moving stuff steel at 1,550 feet per second. It's 1,200, 1,250, even 1,350. And the shot's small enough. It's not like you're running BBs down a barrel. It's different if you're running 1s, 2s, big shot.
Yes.
Number 7's number 8's. And this steel is tempered to like the softest state possible.
Oh.
What it's predominantly used for is shot blasting.
Okay.
There's no one making cut wire, cold-headed and, ground shot in the United States.
So it deforms a little bit?
Yeah, and that's also what helps the pattern kind of develop is that irregular shape, you do sacrifice a little bit of pellet energy, but if it's still breaking targets and you're throwing amazing patterns, it actually patterns better than lead because the shot doesn't deform as much, and you have that shorter shot string, which doesn't really mean anything ballistically from like a probability of hits or misses. But what it does do is those pellets at the back end of your shot string with lead that gets deformed aren't carrying the energy. So the energy carried by steel pellets is more consistent pellet to pellet than it is with chilled shot. Now, if you're shooting magnum shot to a lesser degree because that stuff is harder, doesn't deform as much. That's just another one of those like little known. It's not even. It's a fact, but no one thinks about that stuff. But that's like the shit that runs through my mind.
That's the antimony that we can no longer
The high
get.
antimony, yeah, that used to be $2 a pound. Now it's 25. Just like what's going on with bismuth and a bunch of other minor metals that China has the stranglehold on.
Yeah,
India
the new
doesn't have
shot
it.
now is Hepper.
Huh?
The new lead shot that's out now is Hepper shot.
What's that?
It's 6% antimony. It's the new lead shot that's
The high antimony hard shot.
out now.
I've heard some people call it like diamond shot. or
It's called,
something.
well, that's the double A stuff. That's,
Yeah.
But the bags and stuff are like 55, 60 a bag.
Of 25 pound?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's called Hepper.
Is that the stuff from the UK?
No, it's actually, from what I heard,
I
it's,
wouldn't imagine because UK doesn't do lead.
it's
Yeah.
from around, from what I was told, is that locomotives use lead shot for ballast.
Okay.
And it's coming from somewhere.
So Hepper is like a trade name or it's a manufacturer? Or?
I'm not quite sure, but
Oh, okay.
it's the new that everybody's buying because of the antimony, the hardness.
Because you can still get it. A lot of the other places.
Oh, that's shot.
Well,
is,
it's even if it's at 6%. Let's see here. $25 a pound. Let me see here. Let me see here. So that's 25. So 0.06 times 25 pounds, pound and a half. It's adding $1.50 to the price of a bag of shot just for the higher antimony. But a lot of it's just the scarcity, the lack of supply. And I mean, not doing economics with the supply and demand curves, all that whole thing. But yeah, it sucks.
yeah,
it
a bag
sucks.
of shot is a flat of ammo.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Mm-hmm. Maybe more people shoot steel because I think what's going to end up happening is that cost is going to come down over time. I think a lot of it's just guys are so like your buddies. What do they think when they see you shooting a DT-11 with steel shot?
They
They think
couldn't
you're
believe
nuts.
it. Yeah, they thought it was crazy. And I said, you got to try it. You really got to shoot this stuff. And we went up in Northbrook and we talked to one of the head guys from Beretta, guy Buzz. And anyway, he said, no
Brian?
big deal. No, Buzz.
Brian Buzzy?
Yeah, you know him?
I know of him.
Oh, yeah.
He's flown on my plane once. I've never gotten to meet him personally. Maybe I did. In passing.
Yeah, well, I had another friend that used to work for Beretta in New York Gallery, and he passed. And I needed something from Mike, and I ran up to Northbrook because he was up there, and he had it for me.
What'd they say when they
He
saw
said, no
you?
problem. These are made for it. You
Yeah.
shoot them all the time. East Coast, they've been shooting steel for years over there on the East Coast. I mean, you go to L&L Bean or Orvis, that's all they shoot over there. Max
Yep.
McGraw up in Illinois,
Yeah.
they're only shooting steel.
And guys aren't bitching about it. They're
no,
killing stuff.
nobody's complaining. They're shooting sixes out there for pheasants.
Yeah, but even on clay targets, like no one's bitching.
No, nobody's complaining. They don't have an option. If you want to shoot, this is what you're going to shoot.
Yeah.
And you know, now you're going to throw a biodegradable wad out there. You go out to a clay target field and you go looking at the wads. There's thousands and thousands of wads at each station.
Well, that's the thing. Like this wad technically isn't like you can't say biodegradable, but it does have the additives that help the environment break it down faster. I'm not sold on the technology as of yet for reliable performance, and I could be wrong, but me personally, I just don't think that some of these bioplastics a lot of them shatter and they create microplastics, which are actually worse for the
Yeah.
environment than like raw plastic. And it's low density polyethylene. A lot of wads are made of high density. High density, you're stuck. You can't do anything with. Low density will break down. We call it the bugs that it's actually like a fertilizer, like a food that bugs like to chew on and digest. So that's in there to help it break down faster if it's left in the environment. Trap ranges, that gets remediated for the most part.
Yes.
We're talking about more for use out in the wild, but it still is blended into these wads. It's in every wad that we make. So, yeah.
No, it's gonna happen. I mean, I know like in Valpo, they got about a half a dozen eagles that are all sick over there. You know, and they start eating a mouse that ate a lead shell and lead pellet.
Well, that's the thing. We got it. A lot of people don't want to believe that. I've read enough of the science to know that like it's not like some science that's out there. I believe in the information that's coming out of it with lead poisoning. We've seen it happen with humans. I mean, shit. We used to make fun of the kid. You say, "Did you eat paint chips when you were a kid?" You're like that from lead paint. Like that's the kind of thing. Like it happens. So,
yeah.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap this thing up, Mike?
No, I'm glad we had this conversation, and yeah.
You think Lino's going to watch it? Does he pay attention to what we do?
Yes, he does.
I think Lino should come out and I think you'd like Lino. He's a hell of a shot, isn't he?
Yes.
I wonder how he likes that Benelli that we built him.
You know what? I'm going to have to say,
Well, you helped. You did. You cut the stock down for him.
I put the pad
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, if it was bad, I would have heard 2 days later, or I would have heard something negative.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear it, you know.
You think he's shooting it?
Oh, yeah. The only thing he said when he left my house, I mean, he hung around for a while and stuff. The only thing he wants to do, and I don't know why the theory, but he wants to put a center bead on it.
That's no big deal.
No, I mean,
Well, get your cheek down. You don't need a center bead, right?
You don't even notice it.
no. I mean, once you're locked in, you call and you don't even look anymore. You're looking at the
So he's
target.
using that for a trap gun just as much as he's using it for a field gun.
No, he shoots a Model 12 for trap.
So what's he want you said you call it. You're talking like when you're shooting trap. But he wants it for hunting.
For sport, he shoots sporty clays with us and stuff.
With a Model 12.
No, Model 12 is just strictly trap.
Okay. He'll shoot sporting clays with that Benelli.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know his theory about a center bead. I don't know, but if that's what he wants.
We'll bring Lino on
Yeah.
here. We'll get him to shoot some steel. We'll bring you guys back and have Lino come and bullshit with us again.
Yeah, that's fine. No, if he's shooting, if he's got a middle bead on everything else, he wants it looked on
Yeah,
the same
fair enough.
profile every time.
Yeah.
I think it's more or less a target gun when you have a center bead. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
He did
Yeah.
a nice job on that gun.
Yeah. Maybe we can do one of yours.
I'm a southpaw. I'm waiting for you to start making them.
I'm left-handed too. I've been dealing with the same shit you've been dealing with my whole
So-
life. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you guys soon.